You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Ranson here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learning, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. Ryan Higgins began his career as an associate attorney at Gaudry Ranson more than 12 years ago and became a partner at the firm in 2018. He has a broad practice with a focus on commercial litigation, labor and employment, successions, estate planning, and funeral and cemetery law. He also handles transactions and contract drafting. As you can tell, he's a versatile attorney that brings value to his clients. Hey, Ryan, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hey, very good, Chad. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, great to have you. So tell me a little bit more about Gaudry Ranson and what that firm does.
Sure. First off, which is a common issue, it's Gaudry,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Gaudry Ranson. No
I should have
problem.
asked you about that.
It's a tough one to pronounce right off the bat. But the firm has been around long before I started here. So it's been around over 40 years now, I believe. And basically, we have offices in Gretna, Louisiana, right across the bridge from downtown New Orleans, and a small office in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, basically all of our work is focused in the Louisiana area, but we travel all over the state. The firm is primarily an insurance defense firm representing national, regional insurance carriers. And we have about 3 attorneys here, myself included, that do different type of work as well. The practice areas essentially discuss that I do in terms of business and commercial litigation and some transactions in estates, things like that.
What do you think makes Gaudry Ranson kind of unique or favorable compared to other options out there? I know you guys have a good track record in the area of casualty and personal injury defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that here we have, even though we're a relatively small firm of about 10 attorneys, it's maybe been up to about 16 at most since I've been here. Uh, we have the partners here, and a lot of the associates have experience in a variety of different areas, and a lot of experience handling catastrophic claims, very large commercial claims, and that's something you really, we need to know how to do because the exposure to the clients can be quite large, and so they really look to attorneys they can trust and that can actually try cases in court if the case makes it to trial. And so that's something that we offer our clients, and we're able to do it, I think, in a cost efficient manner. And that's what, of course, a lot of clients, especially insurance companies, are looking for.
How and when did you know you wanted to become an attorney?
Yeah, I had a cousin growing up that was considerably older than me, just from this because my father was the youngest, and his father, or his mother, I should say, was the oldest of the family, and so he was an attorney, and he was somebody I always looked up to, and he kind of got me to participate in some things that he was doing and attend court, even when I was in law school. So that got me interested, and it's something that I just felt I was always interested in doing. Even when I started college, that was basically in my mind as the where I was going to end up after I graduated.
How did you get started in the legal industry?
Well, I got started right here at Gaudry Ranson over 12 years ago. So it's probably somewhat rare to have attorneys who started their career and are still at the same firm right now, after maybe over 10 years. But I started as a law clerk really at the district attorney's office in Orleans Parish, and I think I was waiting for my bar results to come in, and so I was very close to taking a job there, but I was offered the job here. This was in 2010. The job market was very difficult at the time, so when I got the offer here, I felt like there was, they had some really good attorneys I could learn from, and I accepted it, and that ended up being the case. the attorneys here do a good job, the partners, of mentoring the young associates and bringing them along.
What were the early days there for you like, and maybe what was the first thing you learned? Like maybe like, oh yeah, maybe from another attorney, like a more senior attorney, or just through experience that you kind of take with you to this day.
Well, so yeah, I think I quickly learned that law school had not prepared me to handle a lot of the different areas of law and assignments that I was going to receive. I think I remember doing a lot of corporate law early on when I started, and that was the partner I was primarily working for. And he's a business attorney. He'd been doing it for over 30 years, and the thing I've learned from him the most is how much the attention to detail and the precision in your writing is a it's very important in what you're doing in corporate law, especially. You do have to kind of learn to write a certain way, I would say. But when I would turn in an assignment and I would get comments back, I would see that what I thought was precise was not as precise or specific or accurate as it really could be. So you kind of just learn to really write and look at things on a whole nother level, just beyond what you thought was good enough before. And that's one thing I still try to do this day, and to even teach younger associates that have started here.
What do you mean by precise? Like, how can you, if you describe something, maybe in the way that you used to describe it, how do you do it now compared to the way you did it then?
Um, I guess it's a little hard to explain, but I guess um, you could be trying to describe. I was doing it today, for a client, trying to describe a project that someone's working on, in a contract, and just simple example. Somebody might just say, ABC refinery located in this New Orleans, Louisiana, but you know, the, when you're talking about contracts where hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars is at issue, um, you'd want to go beyond that and make sure that you reference what's the specific project number. Where's what's the specific location of the refinery? There might be a specific number assigned to a tank that you're actually working on at the refinery. So there's just a level that, um, in contract drafting, especially, that I picked up on, that it matters how you're saying things, and it's the best to do as much as you possibly can to avoid any vagueness when you're dealing with contracts. So we try to avoid that.
So you had been there more than 5 years before you became partner. What led you to becoming partner?
Um, in all honesty, I had another job opportunity I was interested in, and I'd been an associate for 5 years, and um, I went to the firm here because I'd been here for a long time, and they were always very good and fair to me. So I let them know about the offer, and they agreed essentially to match it, and it told me I would make partner the next year I was here. And felt like I wanted to stay here, so that kind of just, maybe they accelerated the process, but a couple of partners were retiring, and so I was here at a good time, essentially, to do that.
What do you enjoy about working at Gaudry Ranson to the point where even if you have another offer, you're going to make every effort to not leave and then stay there?
Yeah. I mean, it's the attorneys I'm working with, and their knowledge and experience. I enjoy the fact that I can go to another attorney's office, and they're pretty much always gonna take the time to help me. You're always learning in this job, even if you've done it for 12 or 40 years. And we have attorneys here that practice in a variety of different areas. We, even though it's essentially insurance defense, we've got attorneys that do a lot of workers' compensation or a lot of insurance coverage work, a lot of real estate. So it helps me and my clients that I have access to these attorneys. And again, when I bring something up to them, more often than not, they have some type of information that I didn't think about or that's really helpful. So I feel more comfortable that I'm doing my job by having access to those attorneys to help advise me as well.
So I asked you how and when you knew you wanted to become an attorney. What was it that drew you to wanting to be a lawyer or an attorney? And is that still what you enjoy most about it? And if not, what is that?
Yeah, I think I liked, uh, just growing up. I mean, I'm a big fan of film, and of course, the movies with attorneys. Everyone's favorite, My Cousin Vinny, and but other movies out there where you see attorneys practice. And I was drawn to the idea of trying cases and being a trial lawyer, which I have gotten to do to some extent. It's a little difficult sometimes to try cases because usually clients want to settle. But that is something I was interested in. And then when I went into law school, I got involved in trial advocacy program. People might know it as mock trial. And so I did that and competed nationally and did well, put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think it served me really well. Kind of gave me a jump start on that going into practicing as an attorney because you don't get a lot of experience trying cases either until you've been doing it for a while.
Hmm.
And the partners here put a lot of faith in me and let me, assist in trying cases and try cases on my own pretty early on. So that's something that really drew me to doing it, and I've been able to do that here. I've got a couple set next year for jury trial that I probably will end up trying. So that's been big for me.
Are you like the attorneys you see in the movies, like really demonstrative and dramatic?
Yes, I believe that it is important to have a theme for your trial and definitely have the jury understand what's at stake and make a good connection with them. That's something I learned in trial advocacy, and it might seem a little trite, but I think it works in practice in jury trials, especially.
When you were part of your first trial as an attorney, what were your kind of emotions going into it?
Well, let's see. I think probably one of the first times I was a little apprehensive. I think partly because I was asked to do a cross examination of a witness, and we had not deposed that witness. So that means I really didn't know what the witness would say. So
Mhm.
no attorney likes to be in the position where you haven't deposed the witness. But sometimes that's just the case. Again, I mean, it could really end up being cost prohibitive to depose every single possible witness in a case sometimes. But I had again the experience that I took from law school, doing it in law school, and I felt that I was strong with cross examinations. So it ended up going pretty well. But I had the partner there and the client there. I think after the trial was over, the client came to our office and he had thought I was a law clerk still because I was probably about 26, 27 years old at the time, and I was like, well, no, I don't think they would have let me cross examine a witness at the trial if I didn't have my law license then. So that was a good experience, and I think it turned out about as well as it could.
So you have been with Gaudry Ranson your entire legal career. During that time, what are some big moments that you're proud of, either personally or as a firm? What are you most proud of there? I know Gaudry Ranson represented the parish of Jefferson and other municipalities in connection with their claims in the BP Deepwater Horizon litigation.
Yes, and that was definitely something that we took a lot of pride and responsibility in. That oil spill affected everybody really in South Louisiana, and kind of came not that long after everybody just got back from recovering for Katrina. So it had a big impact on businesses here, and we put a lot of time and effort into that. And that's definitely something I would mention. Also, it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. I got to try my first jury trial, and it was in New Orleans, in Orleans Parish, and it was a construction case. I represented a subcontractor, and was able to get a successful jury verdict in his favor on that case, doing it basically solo. And that was a big moment for me, kind of what you got into it for, and put a lot of time and effort into it. And so it was definitely rewarding to have it come out in our favor.
Is there a difference between, as a non-attorney, I guess I'm just curious, is there a difference between how you approach a jury trial and just a trial in front of a judge?
There is, just because of the knowledge that the judge has about the law, and they you're probably gonna it's just gonna take a lot more preparation usually to prepare for a jury, and certainly the jury selection process is key. I certainly believe that that's a big issue. Some attorneys think you can win or lose a case just by the jurors that you select, so that's a whole another part of the trial you have to prepare for.
Do you have to, I'm watching that show, The Lincoln Lawyer, right now. Have you heard of that on
Yes,
Netflix? Is there an importance in making a connection with the jury? They kind of talk about that in that show.
I think there absolutely is. I mean, I find that jurors, and they're all different education levels, backgrounds, and New Orleans is a very diverse community too. If you're in this area, and usually your jury is going to reflect that. Um, and we've had people, especially recently, coming from all over the country too, moving here. It's a big area for that too. So, I think that it's something where you do have to make a connection. If the juror doesn't like the attorney, it's probably not going to go very well. Your client's going to testify. That might be the only time they're going to hear from your client. You certainly want the jury to like your client, but you're the one that's going to be talking the whole time. And I believe, really, no matter how good your case is, if the jury doesn't think you're telling them the truth, doesn't trust you, um, thinks you're not being credible, that it's not going to go well at the end of the day, even if you, yeah, have the law on your side.
Is that something they teach you or help you work on in law school, or is that something you have to just figure out once you start doing it?
Yeah, I think that's something you just have to figure out. That's why I guess some of the best trial attorneys are, again, sought after, and it's just one of those type of skills. Like, you see sometimes people in any business that are very successful, maybe have great people skills. I mean, my dad worked for an oil company one time, and they had a big lawsuit going on, and he was talking to the attorney representing the company, and he basically explained to him, like, "Well, Mr. Higgins, we do a good job because jurors like me," and I mean, I think he was right, and that's something that I definitely think is important, and the way I try to do it is really just to be as credible and honest as I can about my case. You don't want to oversell it to them, and you don't want to tell them anything that you're not going to deliver on at the end of the day.
As a partner now, what are some daily rituals you find most important? What does a typical day look like?
Uh, Coffee the moment I come in through the door. I have three young children, so I don't always get here as early as I used to or I would like. I've been doing it the last few days because got a lot of work to catch up on. So I always start the day with a cup of coffee, um, and kind of have it planned what I'm going to work on when I get here, so I can get right to that. It's nice to get started early before the phone calls and emails come in. And typically I've been eating lunch just at the office recently because, again, I'll try to leave a little earlier than normal to get home and help with dinner, be with the kids. And the nice thing is these days it's kind of easy to work remotely from home. So I kind of try to avoid the traffic and the commute issue because I feel like I'm losing time there. So I'd rather get myself home, without having to worry about the traffic and not be able to get work done. And I'll just kind of work from home or finish up on the weekend and get the work done that way.
I have one more question for you, but how can people find out more about Gaudry Ranson?
Sure. Yeah, we do have a website, at grhg.net. And we have a LinkedIn page as well with for our firm. On the website, we do try to post pretty regular blog posts, um, about different emerging legal issues and things of that nature. I've had a lot of people call our office because we posted, or I personally posted, about wage claims in Louisiana, and we do some funeral and cemetery law, and I myself do that, and I think there's not a lot of attorneys out there, I guess, that have that listed as a practice area, so we get a lot of calls about that as well.
Final question for you. If you can think of something, I guess, off the top of your head, what is either the best or the worst piece of advice you have ever received,
As an attorney
or in general?
or in general, wow, um, that's a tough one. Um, I think if you're someone who's from the New Orleans area, and probably applies to some other places too, and this is just a little tongue in cheek, but I think my dad once told me, when I was learning how to drive, that you always want to assume the person next to you might just do something totally unexpected. But I think that carries over. to a lot of other things as well. It's something I've learned in the legal practice, is that a lot of times when people are coming to you for a case, it's because they have an issue it's definitely unique, and something's happened that's probably way out of the ordinary. So you really need to be prepared for anything and be able to adapt.
Do you have a lot of scenarios where you're like, I thought I had seen everything?
Yes,
I'm
pretty
sure you do.
much. That happens a lot. That's one of the things that does keep it interesting, for sure. And that happens more, I think, when you represent individuals and as well as businesses. But a lot of times the individuals are issues with families and successions and cemetery and funeral law too. Um, can carry that forward. And I mean, in terms of bad advice, I'm not so sure. I probably would have put it out of my mind.
Yeah, of course.
By now.
No worries. Hey, Ryan, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time and all of your insights. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate you having me.
So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.